Realm of Isekai, where ordinary individuals find themselves thrust into extraordinary worlds, has been a dominant force in the anime industry. This genre has captivated fans with its imaginative settings, fantastical creatures, and epic adventures. But what happens when you blend this otherworldly excitement with the enchantment of romance? Well, lucky for you, in today's video, we'll be revealing our top 10 picks for the best isekai romance anime out there for you folk to watch. Starting the list at number 10 is the anime titled Zere Gunzuki Spirit Chronicles. And, of course, in this anime, just like other isekai, the main character gets reincarnated because, of course he does. Anyways, the protagonist in this series, a young man living in Japan named Awakawa Haruto, dies and wakes up in the body of a poor young boy named Ryo who lives in the slums. There's definitely no correlation to Rio de Janeiro, don't even consider that. Anyways, even though they have different backgrounds and values, Haruto's memories get mixed up with Ryo's, and as a result of Ryo's lineage and Haruto's knowledge of martial arts, our protagonist becomes quite OP in this new fantasy world. And as the overpowered main character, Ryo obviously receives a lot of affection from the ladies he meets along the way, getting into romantic relationships with them during the story. So if you're up for a fun and exciting isekai with romantic relationships, then you should probably check out Zere Gunzuki. Next on the list, and taking the number 9 spot, is the new anime titled Choyoyu. Unlike the very familiar plot where the main character is some clueless dude with overpowered stats, in this anime, the main characters are actually geniuses. Wow, someone finally did it. They're actually smart enough to know right away that they've been reincarnated, and as such, they easily use their knowledge to their advantage. Another interesting feature about this anime, though, is the fact that the fantasy world and real world both intersect with one another from time to time, rather than being totally unrelated. There's also a generous spread of romance in this story, as we get to see not just one character's relationship, but several others since we have different main characters. Overall, this show is a refreshing isekai that any otaku will enjoy. At number 8, we have Familiar of Zero. This anime is basically about a guy from the normal world named Saito who gets trapped in a fantasy world as the pet of a noble's daughter called Louise. At the start of the show, you'd probably hate this pink-haired girl for how she treats our main character, but as the episodes roll by, you start to get a clearer picture of what she's really about, especially when she starts to catch feelings for the protagonist who she treated like a pet in the beginning, which is a bit of a gray area if not done correctly. But it is. By the time the second, third, and fourth seasons come along, you really start to see the dynamic of the plot change as it turns into a more romantic story between the princess and the protagonist. Taking the number 7 spot in this video is the isekai titled 7 Senses of the Reunion. This anime has a pretty fresh plot because it actually features an isekai that brings dead people back to life by using a virtual reality game. The story follows the lives of a group of friends who used to play this fantasy game but stopped when one of their friends, a girl named Asaki, died. However, several years later, one of them logs into the game again and is instantly transported to a fantasy world where he's reunited with Asaki, who obviously died. You know, now that I think of it, this kind of reminds me of Jumanji in a way, but what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments. Next on the list, and taking the 6th spot, we have Maou. Even though we're used to seeing characters fall in love at first sight, and it's always a beautiful thing to see, what if these two characters are actually supposed to be sworn enemies? Well, that's what happens in this series, because it's actually about the hero falling in love with the Demon Lord. Sounds healthy. The protagonist in this case was actually charged to attack the Demon Lord's castle and then defeat her, but he had no idea she was a beautiful woman. It's only when he got there that he discovers this, and long story short, the two end up falling in love rather quickly. Now, the two lovebirds work together and embark on a mission to make the world a better place. Overall, this show is a must-watch because apart from the epic fight scenes, we also get a decent amount of heartwarming scenes and romantic moments as well. Taking the number 5 spot on this list is an anime titled How a Realistic Hero Builds a Kingdom. and from the title you can probably guess what the story is going to be about. It basically follows the life of a young man named Suma who plays a fantasy game and changes the status quo by proving that magic isn't everything. Because he's a realist, he doesn't believe that magic is enough to build a kingdom, so he marries the princess and uses his knowledge as a 19-year-old student in the real world to reshape the whole game. The show dives deep into everyday concepts like politics and gives off a very relatable vibe because of how realistic it is. Even though there's not a lot of action or fighting scenes, the few that appear are absolutely beautiful, and as such, this anime should be on your list of isekai to watch as well. At number 4, we have the anime titled A Lull in the Sea, which, unlike the last show, is a little bit of a thinker. But unlike the more popular isekai plots centered around demon lords and video games, this show takes a very different approach. This series is about a world where humans used to live on the sea until some humans decided to start living on land, which kind of reminds me of Waterworld, you know, that good old Kevin Costner classic, but it's better here. It follows the lives of a group of children from the two sides who struggle to set aside their differences. Blessed with compelling characters, stunning animation, and an immersive plot, this anime will have you glued to your seats, exceeding your expectations and leaving you wanting more. And of course, there's also a lot of emotional and romantic scenes which you will certainly enjoy. Number 3 on this list is the isekai titled Snow White with the Red Hair. And as you might have guessed, this isn't the Snow White we're all used to. However, she's given this name because of how similar her life is to the iconic Disney princess. In this story, she works at her job at an herbal shop until the prince forces her to marry him and quits. And after some time, she manages to escape from him, and when she does, she meets another prince from a neighboring country. And this is the point where her life changes completely because this guy is more of a gentleman. It doesn't take long before they fall in love with each other, and from there, the story kinda kicks off. This anime doesn't have the whole overpowered MC and demon lord cliche, and there's also not a lot of action. So it's basically just a peaceful romantic anime with a very natural plot and wholesome moments as well. So in general, it's a really good show, and it should definitely be on your watch list as well. At number 2, the anime we've picked is titled The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga. This isekai is about a high school student who suddenly gets reincarnated and finds himself in an alternate reality set during the Sengoku period. Here, he meets a girl named Nobunaga Oda, who's basically the female version of the popular war hero Nobunaga Oda. The shocking twists don't end here though, because he also realizes that the whole fantasy world he's in is an alternate timeline of the original Japanese history. Imagine all the things that you knew about your nation's history being altered because the legendary heroes you were told about were suddenly different people. Well, that's what happens in this anime, because almost all of the fabled heroes in this world are cute girls, making this show even more intriguing. In summary, The Ambition of Oda Nobunaga is a refreshing anime that is sure to leave you glued to your seats. And finally, the last anime on this list and our top pick for this category is the amazing show titled Banished from the Hero's Party. This isekai is pretty unique for a number of reasons. It follows the life of the protagonist named Red, who embarks on a new path of adventuring after being kicked out of the hero's party. The show is also quite wholesome as it explores the challenges of finding happiness and purpose after giving up a life of heroism. Apart from the amazing and relatable plot, there's also a lot of steamy romance in the show between Red and his love interest, Rick. With all of these captivating features jam-packed into one show, it's no surprise why Banished from the Hero's Party is number 1 on our list of the top 10 isekai romance anime you should watch. So clearly the isekai genre of anime has many hidden gems out there, but out of the lot, we've picked these ones as our top 10, and they're sure to give any otaku a treat. Anyway, that's all we have for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thank you for watching, and I guess we'll see you next time.